Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to this 2020 Volkswagen Jetta GLI. This is in Top Dog Autobahn trim, and we also have the 7-speed dual-clutch DSG transmission. Now, we own this car. We've lived with it for over a year and have driven it nearly 22,000, or a little over 22,000 miles. And today we're going to do an introduction video on what it's been like to just drive it, focusing really on its performance. This is truly, everything they said is true. This is a GTI with a sedan body. Volkswagen actually did what everybody asked, and they gave them the exact underpinnings of the GTI. And there's not a lot you can say about how great a GTI drives. But today, we're going to take it for a spin, talk a little bit about it. This one's fully optioned at the time. It generally has everything you could want. Leather seats, the upgraded infotainment system, dual zone climate, and a favorite feature is this digital dash. Great sunroof, upgraded sound system, which we'll get into that sometime, and these leather perforated, ventilated, and heated seats. So yeah, pretty much the only thing that's missing on this car, really from a feature standpoint, is adaptive cruise control with a good stop start feature for traffic, and no auto dimming headlights. But other than that, it's pretty loaded. One nice thing about this one versus the new generation or the new 2022s, it has this great classic GTI GLI steering wheel with actual buttons. We have the famous 2-liter turbo under the hood, pumping out 228 horsepower with 258 pound-feet of torque if you put 91 octane gas in it. You can put 87 in this car. Volkswagen says that's just fine. So that engine is famous for its performance, and it definitely has lived up to that over the year. And it's also a little notorious for reliability, but we haven't had any issues with it. Hopefully they've got all that sorted, given how many years they've been making it. Let's take a quick walk around. This car is in pyrite silver. This car was purchased right at the right in the middle of COVID. So manufacturers were really trying to give cars away. It's not the case today. You almost have to beg them to let you buy a car. But pyrite silver was hard to find. This car came in at around 32 grand with destination. We'll get into a deep detail on what we actually paid in another video, but it was not that sticker. Again, really like it in pyrite silver. It's the most Audi-esque color, I think. It does have some metallic in it, and even though silver and gray are known to be boring colors, this shade actually shows off all the character lines, all the styling lines, and you get some really nice shadows. I'm not sure you get that in any other trim. Dual exhaust on the back, a great trunk. You do have now let's just take a quick look. Got to show the trunk, right? But that's what the Jetta is known for. Great storage in the trunk. You do have your subwoofer under here with the compact spare tire. Got 2 little pull downs for the seats there, and yeah, it's what Jettas are all about. Great trunk. You do have a little grab handle here to pull down. So yeah, this does have sort of a boring sedan shape to it, but it's going to age well. I think it's interesting that the next generation Honda, they actually went to a more traditional look. But I think the pyrite silver with the red accents looks really good. It's a kind of a narrow car, so if it's a little bit wider, that would be great. This is a great car to get if you need some backseat room. Awesome room back here, no issues at all. You do not have air vents, which is a little bit of a ding. Again, we're going to deep dive into this whole interior into another in another episode. But this interior, I think, has been a little bit of an Achilles heel for this generation Jetta, but it's kind of odd in the fact that everything is so good in here. Everything functionally works really well. It's spacious. You got lots of storage and cubbies. The only thing you don't have is like a little place for change, but other than that, just a really good interior functionally. I think the aesthetic of it comes together as really cold and sterile. Okay, so let's take a drive. Before we get started, one thing that's really nice, this car has multiple personalities, and the drive modes on this, you have Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, and Custom. Again, one of the nice features of this car is it does have those different drive modes, and you can change the characteristics of it. And I do use all the drive modes. This car can be sedate in comfort mode, or it can be rather raucous in sport mode when you change all of the settings. But one thing, if you go over here into custom to look at, this does have dynamic chassis control, which is another feature of this Autobahn, and has been one of the things we actually use a lot. Okay, let's take a spin. Here's your backup camera. No lines on it, but pretty big. You do have to keep it clean. Again, visibility in this is really good, other than those two headrests, which do not retract. Okay, driving the GLI. Let's go ahead and make sure we're in normal mode here. We do have the binaurals going today. Yeah, this motor just pulls. No issues with speed in the GLI right out of the box. You can tune this up to much more horsepower and torque, but right out of the box, this is a quick car. So just starting from the ground up with this suspension, this is a very sophisticated suspension. It never gets unsettled. It's just a great compromise or overall quality, just a good combination of ride quality and handling, and this is, you never feel like you're in a compact car riding in this. Volkswagen has just really done a really good job of figuring out how to give you a comfortable ride, but also giving you, just really good handling. Now, if you want to stiffen up the dampers, you can go in the sport mode, which also brings in huge amounts of sound actor, pumped in engine noise. We do have a whole video on the sound actor, by the way, but if you really want to carve up some roads and take out that body lean, the dampers will stiffen up just enough to do that. If you want to go into comfort mode, not a huge difference, but it does take the edge off of like expansion joints, rough pavement, and it does make for a really comfortable ride. So no matter what mode you're in, the steering is always weighted really well. So combination of just the ride quality along with the handling capabilities of this car is just spot on, and one of the favorite things I've really become to appreciate over the year of ownership. Now, regarding the steering, it's very quick, it's very precise, and it makes it a joy to drive also. So yeah, steering and handling are just my favorite parts of the car so far. Now, these brakes are really powerful brakes, and again, another favorite feature driving this car are the brakes. The bite is right at the top. There's no play in the pedal, which is really nice. And it's very linear in normal driving. Now, as you really get into these brakes hard, they become a little non-linear, maybe a little grabby, but that's what you're going to get, when you have such really good stopping power. So the other thing you can do is put this, it does have paddle shifters, and they work really good. This DSG is really quick to shift. No issues with this DSG transmission at all. No lurching. It's very smooth. You wouldn't even know it's a dual clutch, especially in low speed traffic. There's no, a lot of folks have complained about dual clutches with them lurching, them being clunky, and this one and when you're in low speed traffic or just tooling around at low speed, you do not know this is a dual clutch, except for one thing, and that's the clunking noises that you hear. You do not feel anything. It's very smooth, but you do hear some of the mechanical bits going on up there in the transmission when you're tooling around at slow speed. But you do have the paddle shifters here. Don't use them a whole lot, because I think the DSG in automatic mode works so well, and really you do need bigger. You got to do some aftermarkets on these. These are just ridiculously small. The other thing about this car that over the course of the year is how solid it is. There's been no rattles. Again, that suspension just kind of soaking up everything, but also giving you really, really good performance. Let's go ahead and put it back in the sport mode. The other thing that's been a real pleasure with this car is that limited slip differential up front. You know, this car can put the power down very, very well, unlike some cars that don't, like the new Kia K5 GT or even the Accord Sport 2-liter, they do not have limited slip differentials. So, it's always a problem. This one does, and that limited slip differential has also been very, very good in the snow. So again, this car has two personalities. You can really wake it up, as you can tell right now. Just a hoot to drive on a road like this. Now, does this have any downsides? Well, yeah, there's a couple things. The drivetrain, again, I'm a big fan of this dual clutch. No issues with it at all. Been really, really happy with it. The only thing about this car is, as far as its tuning with the transmission, is whether you're in sport mode with the transmission or in regular drive mode. Again, if you want to go back out of the paddles, you just hold this right one down here and it'll go right now back into sport mode. But whether the transmission is in sport mode or not, it's always a little hesitant to downshift, and that's a little bit of an annoyance. It just wants to always be around 1500 RPM. The only other annoyance right there, it's fighting me. It's like, come on, downshift. But it's got so much torque, it just wants to pull from those low RPMs without downshifting. The only other thing I would sort of, a nit with this drivetrain is that because it wants to be, 1500 RPM, it's always trying to upshift and get you into the lowest gear. One of the things is that the engine just doesn't sound good. Below 1500 RPM, it's got kind of this diesel-y, mechanical sort of, noises that it makes that just aren't that pleasant. Go ahead, pop it back in the sport, and we'll go into manual shifting. Very, very quick. But let's just tune this down and turn it back into a regular car. We'll go back into, let's just say, normal mode. Now, one thing about economy mode, if you don't like the sort of the turbo sort of non-linear features of this engine, if you put it in econ mode, I don't know if it gets better gas mileage or not, but what it does do is it just kind of smooths out the whole drivetrain. Just makes this just a nice little pleasant car to drive around, and there's no, it's a very linear acceleration. You can kind of hit the gas without, you can hit the gas pedal without, there we go. Yeah, see, we're in econ mode now. You can just hit the gas pedal hard, and it's just not going to jump off the line at you. And then comfort mode, we'll soften up those dampers. It'll soften up the steering a little bit. And yeah, over the course of the year of owning this car, the drive modes have been one of the favorite features. Again, you can just dial this car into whatever you want it to do for that day. But let's go ahead and get this out on the highway. Yeah, entrance ramps are no issue. Getting out on the highway in this car is again, plenty of power. So a few things out here on the road. excellent. We found this to be an excellent highway cruising car. You can pretty much dial in whatever speed that you're comfortable with. Road noise, this is a pretty quiet cabin. The only thing that's a little bit of an annoyance is there is an airflow noise. So the faster you go, you get that more, I don't know, you just get a little bit more wind noise. It's not turbulence, it's not flutter. You know, maybe it's just the thin glass or something. But road noise is actually pretty good. Now, safety-wise, this car has backup, rear sensors, cross-traffic alert. It does have blind spot monitoring, which is, I don't know, the way they do blind spot monitoring with no tones or anything, it's okay. And you do have the front brake assist. So this is actually a pretty good cruising car. The seat comfort, these seats are very, very hard. But on long trips, they're very, very supportive and overall very comfortable. These have less bolstering than GTI seats, which makes them a little bit more, you know, a little bit more adaptable to a wider variety of uses. But overall, this is a really, really good cruising car out on the highway. We'll talk a little bit about the sound system, just a little bit in this Beats system. Again, everything through this head unit is very, very good. If you go over to media, everything's right within your touch. Let's just crank a little bit of music here. We do have the binaurals going. Do a double downshift pass here. As you can see there, you can dial in whatever speed you want. All right, let's get this back and wrap this up. Yes, you know, if you're a driving enthusiast but you still have to do the mundane things in life, like carry people and go to the grocery store and get decent fuel economy, you know, what's not to love about this car? It really has lived up to everything that everybody has said as far as its driving. It really does everything. It's just such a well-rounded vehicle that we use it kind of as it's a great reference car to judge other cars by. And that's our plan here on Beyond the Test Drive, is to always use this as a comparison car. So again, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment below and consider subscribing if you like quality car commentary. And have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you are. Again, have a great morning or evening. It's driven by regular people, and wow, okay. Never heard that before. What could gosh darn it.